Drama fans hold on tight because what's happening right now in the world of love and hip-hop Atlanta is enough to leave everybody speechless. Bambi, who has never shied away from saying what's really on her mind, is finally pulling the curtain back on her explosive history with Momma Dee. But this time, it's not just about the old feuds, the side comments, or the awkward family dinners. No, this time it's about Scrappy himself, and the shocking role he allegedly played in fueling the fire between the two women. For years, fans have watched the ups and downs unfold like a never-ending soap opera. From Bambi's heartbreaking split with Scrappy to the messy family dynamics that always seem to follow, the tension has been undeniable. Now, whispers are turning into headlines, and headlines are turning into full-blown speculation. What really went down behind the scenes? Did Scrappy manipulate both sides to keep the drama alive? Or was he simply caught in the middle of two strong personalities who refused to back down? Bambi's recent revelations have left viewers stunned, and Momma Dee's surprising reaction is adding even more fuel to the fire. What's real? What's performance? And what secrets are still waiting to be revealed? Stay tuned, because the truth fans have been waiting for is about to unravel. The tension had been building for years, bubbling beneath the surface with every family gathering, every social media post, and every whispered rumor. For so long, Bambi had tried to play it cool, to act like the tension between her and Momma Dee wasn't eating away at her peace of mind. But behind the scenes, the pressure was unbearable. People always assumed their disagreements were just normal in-law squabbles, the kind of back and forth that comes with blending families in the spotlight. But according to Bambi, the real story was much darker and far more complicated. And it all circled back to Scrappy. Fans were stunned when Bambi admitted that many of her clashes with Momma Dee were not as organic as they seemed. She described moments where Scrappy would hype her up with certain words, making her feel like she needed to defend herself, only for Momma Dee to show up already heated with her own side of the story. It was as if someone had been feeding both of them just enough fuel to ignite an explosion. He would tell me one thing, and then she would come at me with something completely different, Bambi reportedly shared during a private conversation. After a while, it just didn't make sense. I realized he was in the middle playing both sides, whether he meant to or not. This revelation shocked not just fans, but also those closest to the family. For years, the narrative had been that Momma Dee was the one stirring the pot, constantly overstepping boundaries and creating chaos in her son's marriage. But now, a new layer of truth was unfolding. Bambi's voice cracked with emotion as she recounted the countless times she felt blindsided. One moment she believed she had resolved an issue with Scrappy, and the next she'd find herself being confronted by Momma Dee about the same problem, only louder and more public. And it wasn't just about arguments or hurt feelings. It was about the kids, about family milestones, and about moments that could never be repeated. Birthdays, christenings, school events, occasions where Bambi felt she had been unfairly excluded or left in the dark. There were times when I didn't even know something had happened until I saw it on social media, she explained. Imagine how humiliating that is, being the mother of the children and finding out after everyone else. That broke me. Momma Dee, for her part, didn't stay silent. She admitted during their sit-down that she hadn't always handled things the right way. Her pride, her fiery personality, and her desire to protect her son often got the better of her. I love my grandbabies and I thought I was doing the best for them, she confessed with tears in her eyes. But looking back, I see how much pain I caused their mama, and that's something I can't ignore anymore. The conversation grew heavier as old wounds were revisited. Bambi recalled the countless lies and accusations that had been spread about her, the rumors that painted her as controlling or cold. People don't understand what it feels like to be painted as the villain in your own marriage, she said bitterly. All I ever wanted was peace, but instead I was portrayed as the problem. Fans watching from the outside were left in disbelief. Many had sided with Momma Dee over the years, believing her version of events without questioning it. But now, hearing Bambi's side, the entire picture shifted. Social media lit up with debates, with some calling out Scrappy for being the real instigator, and others defending him as simply being overwhelmed by two strong women in his life. But the most shocking moment came when Momma Dee admitted something no one expected. She confessed that Scrappy had often vented to her about his issues with Bambi, sometimes exaggerating situations to make her see his point. I thought I was protecting my son, she explained. But maybe I was protecting a version of the story that wasn't even real. I see now that I was being used to fight battles that weren't mine. The raw honesty between the two women created a rare moment of vulnerability. For once, they weren't screaming at each other. They weren't throwing shade across the table. They were listening. Bambi's face softened as she heard Momma Dee acknowledge her pain. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a start. Still, the drama was far from over. As they unpacked years of hurt, more details emerged about how deeply Scrappy's actions had divided the family. According to Bambi, there were times when he would completely disappear during critical moments, leaving her to handle the chaos on her own. She described a birthday party where Scrappy had promised to be there, only to vanish without a word. He hyped it up all week, she revealed, her voice trembling. He told the kids he was going to be there and then he just wasn't. Do you know what that does to children? To see their father break promises over and over? Momma Dee lowered her eyes, visibly shaken by the truth of those words. As much as she loved her son, she couldn't deny that his absence had left scars on the very children she adored. I can't make excuses for that, she admitted softly. He's a grown man, and he has to answer for his choices. But I promise you, I'm not going to let those choices come between us anymore. Not you and me and not the kids. For the first time in a long time, Bambi felt heard. Yet the wounds were still raw, the scars still visible. The trust wasn't rebuilt overnight, and the fear lingered that this truce could be temporary. After all, history had shown them how quickly things could fall apart again. What neither of them knew at that moment was how these revelations would ripple through the rest of the family. Friends, relatives, and even castmates would soon weigh in, each with their own version of the story. Some would take sides, others would call for unity. But one thing was clear. The truth about Scrappy's role in the chaos had changed everything. And now, both women were faced with the challenge of deciding whether they would let the past continue to haunt them or finally step into a new chapter. As the tension in the room simmered, both Bambi and Momma Dee tried to maintain composure, but the weight of everything that had been said still hung heavily between them. What started as a sit-down to clear the air had now transformed into an emotional excavation of years of buried resentments and secrets. The more they opened up, the more painful truths began spilling out, leaving fans and family alike in complete shock. Bambi leaned back in her chair, her voice calm but sharp with conviction. She recalled how countless times she was blamed for being the wedge in Scrappy's relationship with his mother, when in reality, she had been the one begging him to foster peace. I told him over and over again, fix things with your mom. I never wanted to come between you two, she said firmly. But it was like he thrived on keeping us apart, because as long as we were fighting, nobody was holding him accountable. Momma Dee's eyes widened at that, because deep down, she knew there was truth to it. Scrappy had always been good at deflecting attention, redirecting the focus toward other people's actions instead of his own. For years, she thought she was defending her son from a woman who didn't understand him. But now, she was seeing how cleverly he had played both sides. I can admit I was wrong in the way I handled some things, Momma Dee admitted, her voice carrying both pride and vulnerability. But what hurts me is realizing my son might have been the one feeding this drama just to protect himself. As the women exchanged painful realizations, fans online were busy dissecting every word. Social media exploded with speculation. Some viewers argued that Bambi had always been the mature one, trying to hold the family together while being painted as the villain. Others felt conflicted, unable to imagine Scrappy as the manipulator Bambi described. This is wild, one fan tweeted. I used to think Momma Dee was the problem, but now it's starting to look like Scrappy was pulling the strings all along. Bambi didn't hold back when describing the toll it all took on her. I was dealing with postpartum depression after having the kids, and instead of feeling supported, I was fighting battles that weren't even mine, she revealed, her voice cracking. Do you know what it feels like to be exhausted, nursing a newborn, and still being dragged into family drama you never asked for? I almost lost myself in the process. Momma Dee was shaken, not used to hearing Bambi open up so raw and unfiltered. In that moment, she couldn't help but reflect on her own part in the chaos. She thought back to the times she spread gossip about Bambi, repeating things Scrappy had told her without ever questioning if it was true. "I shouldn't have believed everything he said," she confessed quietly. "I should have come to you woman to woman, but instead I took his word and ran with it. I didn't realize how much pain I was causing you." Bambi looked at her carefully, skeptical, but also somewhat relieved to hear the acknowledgement. "Do you know how many times I prayed for this moment?" she asked. "I wanted us to be able to sit here, like this, and just talk. No cameras, no screaming, no shade, just the truth. Because our kids deserve better." It was a turning point, but still a fragile one, because for every moment of clarity there was also hesitation. Trust once broken is not easily rebuilt, and Bambi was not ready to let her guard down completely. To make matters more complicated, word of their conversation had already started spreading within their circle. Friends close to Scrappy were quick to take sides. Some accused Bambi of trying to tarnish Scrappy's image now that their marriage had ended, while others believed she was finally speaking her truth after years of being silenced. One particularly close friend of Scrappy was reportedly furious at the idea that he had been manipulating both women. "Scrap has his flaws, but he ain't no mastermind," the friend said in defense. "He's been caught in the middle of two strong personalities, and anyone would break under that kind of pressure." But fans weren't buying it. They pointed out how Scrappy's pattern of avoiding responsibility was well documented on the show. They remembered countless scenes where he would disappear when conflicts escalated, leaving the women to fight it out while he stayed silent. "He always acts like a victim," a fan commented on Instagram. But now it's obvious. He wanted them fighting so he didn't have to face either one of them. The drama took another turn when Bambi recalled a specific incident involving her children's christening. Her voice hardened as she spoke. "You went ahead with the christening without me," she told Momma Dee. "Do you know how disrespectful that felt? I'm their mother, and I wasn't even told about it until afterward. I would never do that to you." Momma Dee flinched at the memory, her guilt evident. "I thought I was doing what was best at the time," she explained. "I didn't want the event ruined if you and Scrap were at odds, so I made a decision. But hearing you now, I realize that was a mistake. I should have included you no matter what." "It's not just about me," Bambi replied. "It's about the kids. They're the ones who are caught in the middle, and they deserve to grow up with a family that's united, not divided." The conversation hit an emotional peak as both women began to cry. It wasn't just about who said what or who did what. It was about years of miscommunication, mistrust, and missed opportunities. And at the heart of it all was Scrappy, the one person both women loved but also blamed. What made the moment so dramatic was the unpredictability of it all. Fans were waiting to see if this sit-down would finally bring closure, or if it would end in yet another explosion. Some felt hopeful seeing Momma Dee admit her faults, while others doubted whether change was truly possible. "This feels like déjà vu," one fan commented on Twitter. "They've made peace before, but it never lasts. I hope this time is different, but I'm not holding my breath." As the hours passed, the sit-down turned into a deep dive into the past. Bambi revealed how she had stayed silent on many occasions, not wanting to escalate situations that could have easily spiraled out of control. But silence came at a cost. It allowed lies to spread and narratives to form without her input. "I was tired of being the bigger person," she admitted. "Because being the bigger person just meant I had to carry all the weight while everyone else got to play the victim." Momma Dee nodded slowly, acknowledging the painful truth in those words. "Maybe I was wrong about you," she said. "Maybe I judged you too quickly, without ever giving you the chance to show me who you really are. And for that, I'm sorry." Bambi's eyes welled up with tears, but she didn't smile. Forgiveness was still far away. "Words are nice," she whispered. "But what matters now is action. I've heard apologies before, only to have the same thing happen again. I can't keep going in circles. Either we break the cycle or we let it end here." Those words hung heavy in the air, a challenge and a warning. Momma Dee knew she had to prove herself, not just to Bambi, but to the entire family. Fans watching from the sidelines were glued to the unfolding drama, wondering whether this fragile truce would hold or collapse like so many times before. And in the middle of it all, Scrappy remained silent, his absence louder than any words he could have spoken. The women were finally confronting the truth, but the question remained. When he was faced with their revelations, would Scrappy finally own up to his part? Or would he deny everything and let the cycle continue? The silence around Scrappy was almost deafening, while Bambi and Momma Dee poured their hearts out, confronting years of unspoken pain. The one man at the center of it all wasn't there to defend himself. His absence left both women to wrestle with their own realizations, but also fueled speculation among fans. Why wasn't Scrappy present for this conversation? Was he avoiding accountability, or was he simply too overwhelmed to face the truth? Bambi leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly as she recalled moments that cut her the deepest. There were so many nights I sat at home waiting for him to come back and he never showed. I didn't know if he was with his friends, with other women, or just avoiding being a husband and a father. And when I asked him about it, he'd turn it around on me, making it seem like I was the one overreacting. It was manipulation, plain and simple. The pain in her voice was undeniable. Momma Dee, who had once defended her son at all costs, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She could no longer pretend the accusations were exaggerated. Too many details aligned with things she had seen but chosen to ignore. I thought I was protecting him by stepping in, by fighting his battles, she admitted. But maybe I was enabling him. Maybe I should have pushed him to be better instead of always taking his side. Fans couldn't stop talking about this shift. Momma Dee, known for her fierce loyalty to Scrappy, was finally admitting she might have played a part in enabling his behavior. "This is the first time I've seen Momma Dee actually hold Scrap accountable," one fan tweeted. "It feels like history in the making." As the women continued their discussion, the topic shifted to the kids. Bambi's face softened as she spoke about the challenges of raising them amidst all the chaos. They're too young to understand everything, but they're not blind. They see the tension, they feel it, and all I want is for them to grow up surrounded by love, not drama. Momma Dee's expression turned solemn. They're my grandbabies, and I want them to look back and remember family gatherings filled with joy, not arguments. I want them to say, "My mama and my grandma may not have always agreed, but they made it work for us." That's the legacy I want to leave behind. It was a rare moment of alignment between the two women. But just as it seemed progress was being made, Bambi dropped another revelation that reignited the tension. She recalled a time when she was accused of trying to keep Scrappy away from his family, a narrative that spread like wildfire both on and off the show. "Do you know how painful it was to be labeled as the woman keeping a son from his mother, when all I ever wanted was peace?" she said bitterly. "I begged him to go see you, to spend time with you. But instead, he'd skip it and then tell you I was the one standing in the way. I took the blame for years, and it was never the truth." Momma Dee's eyes welled up with tears. For years, she had believed those stories. She had even repeated them on camera, adding fuel to the fire that painted Bambi as controlling. "He told me things that made me think you didn't respect me," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I didn't question it because he's my son. But now, hearing you say this, I feel like I failed you, and I failed him too, because I didn't push him to be honest. I just believed whatever made me feel justified in being angry at you." The honesty of the moment left both women emotional, but fans weren't convinced the cycle could truly be broken. "I've seen this play out too many times," one commenter wrote on Instagram. "They apologize, they cry, and then 2 episodes later they're back to fighting. I'll believe it when I see it." Still, Bambi pushed forward, unwilling to let the progress slip away. "Look, I don't expect us to suddenly become best friends," she said. "But I do expect honesty. If there's an issue, come to me directly. Don't go off what Scrappy says. Don't let outsiders get in your ear. Let's be women about it and talk face to face. That's the only way this works." Momma Dee nodded, her voice steady. "I can agree to that. I don't want to fight you anymore. I want us to move forward. But it's going to take effort from both of us. And yes, from Scrappy too, if he chooses to step up." The mention of Scrappy sparked another round of speculation. Would he ever step up? Fans flooded social media with theories. Some believed he would double down on denial, refusing to accept responsibility for playing both sides. Others hoped he would finally own his part and attempt to mend the fractured relationships. "Scrappy better watch this episode and take notes," one fan posted. "The women are doing the work he should have been doing all along." As the sit-down continued, Momma Dee shared a surprising admission about her own struggles. She revealed that much of her protective behavior toward Scrappy came from her own past traumas, her fear of losing control, and her need to always be the one guiding the family. "Sometimes I confused control with love," she said softly. "I thought I was protecting him, when really I was smothering him and pushing you away. I didn't want to lose my son, and in trying to hold on, I lost respect for you." Bambi listened intently, her emotions conflicted. She appreciated the honesty, but couldn't ignore the damage already done. "I hear you," she responded. "But I need consistency. I can't keep going through this cycle of apologies followed by the same behavior. I need you to show me you've changed, not just tell me." The intensity of their dialogue left fans glued to their screens. Every word, every tear, every pause carried weight. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was a raw glimpse into the messy reality of family dynamics, amplified by fame and public scrutiny. Then came another twist. Bambi revealed that there were times when even Scrappy's closest friends had approached her, warning her about the way he was manipulating situations. "They told me, 'Watch out. He's telling your business to his mama and making it seem worse than it is.'" Imagine hearing that from people who are supposed to be his boys. That's when I knew I wasn't crazy. Momma Dee was stunned. She had always thought Scrappy's friends were on his side, but now she realized even they had seen the cracks in his behavior. "If they noticed it, then maybe I should have noticed it too," she admitted. "I can't believe I let myself be blind for so long." The confession opened another wave of discussion online. Fans debated whether Scrappy's actions were intentional manipulation or just immaturity. Either way, the impact was undeniable. The women who should have been building each other up had spent years tearing each other down, and all because of stories that may not have been entirely true. As the conversation wound deeper, Bambi admitted how much she resented being villainized in the media. "Every headline made me look like the problem. Every time I spoke up, it was twisted into me being bitter or controlling. Nobody ever showed the truth, that I was the one trying to keep the family together while being attacked from all sides." Momma Dee reached out, placing her hand gently on Bambi's arm. "I can't undo the past, but I can promise you this. From here on out, I'll defend you when people try to tear you down. I'll speak up for you, even if my son doesn't. Because you're the mother of my grandchildren, and you deserve respect." The gesture surprised Bambi, who nodded slowly, holding back tears. "That means more than you know," she whispered. The room fell quiet again, not in tension but in reflection. Both women were processing the enormity of their revelations. The path ahead wasn't clear, but for the first time, there was a genuine sense that healing might be possible. Yet fans couldn't ignore the looming question. Where did Scrappy stand in all of this? His silence was its own statement, and until he spoke up, the drama was far from resolved. The air between them had shifted, no longer thick with accusations, but now heavy with the weight of responsibility. Bambi and Momma Dee had poured out their hearts, revisiting years of miscommunication, betrayal, and manipulation. Yet despite the tears and apologies, one undeniable truth hovered over them: Scrappy's absence. His silence was like a third presence in the room, unspoken but undeniable, forcing both women to confront the question of whether he would ever step forward and accept his part in the chaos. Bambi sat back, her tone calmer now but still lined with caution. "I want peace," she said softly, "but I'm not going to settle for words anymore. I've been through too much, sacrificed too much, and carried too much blame to let history repeat itself. This is about protecting my children, and if Scrappy can't step up as a father and as a man, then I have to build stability for them on my own." The firmness in her words struck Momma Dee. She saw in Bambi not just a daughter-in-law she had clashed with, but a mother fiercely committed to her kids. It was a side of her that often got lost in the noise of their fights. "I hear you," Momma Dee replied with a sigh. "And I know you've been carrying weight that should have never been yours to carry. I've been guilty of making it heavier, but I want to help lighten that load now. Even if Scrappy doesn't get it together, I can." This unexpected promise caught Bambi off guard. For years, she had viewed Momma Dee as an enemy, someone who undermined her every chance she got. Hearing her now offer support, even in the absence of Scrappy, was a twist Bambi didn't see coming. "You really mean that?" she asked skeptically. "I do," Momma Dee said firmly, "because I can't let my grandbabies grow up thinking their family is nothing but drama. I've done enough damage and I want to make it right while I still can." Fans watching this conversation unfold online were divided. Some praised Momma Dee for finally taking accountability, calling it growth. Others weren't convinced, pointing out that she had made similar promises in the past only to slip back into old habits. "She says all the right things, but can she follow through?" One fan posted, "I want to believe her, but history says otherwise." Still, the sincerity in her voice during that sit-down couldn't be denied. She looked at Bambi not as a rival, but as family. "We don't have to like everything about each other," she said, "but we do have to respect each other. Because those kids are watching, and they deserve to see strong women building each other up, not tearing each other down." Bambi nodded, her expression softening. "Respect, that's all I've ever wanted," she admitted. "Respect for me as their mother. Respect for me as a woman. I don't need perfection. I just need honesty and consistency." The exchange left both women in tears again, but this time they weren't tears of anger or frustration. They were tears of release, of finally letting go of some of the poison that had built up over the years. But just when it seemed like healing might truly be possible, another revelation surfaced. Bambi shared that she had recently found out about private conversations Scrappy had been having with people close to them, painting her as the villain even after their split. "He's still out there telling folks I was the reason his family was broken," she said bitterly. "And I'm done taking the fall for things I didn't do." Momma Dee shook her head, visibly frustrated. "That boy doesn't know when to stop. But let me be clear. I'm not co-signing his stories anymore. If he says something about you, I'll check it myself before I believe it." The declaration marked a major turning point. For years, Momma Dee had been quick to believe Scrappy without question, but now she was openly distancing herself from his narrative. Fans erupted online, calling it the moment Momma Dee finally broke free from her blind loyalty. "She finally chose the truth over her son's lies," one fan tweeted. "This might be the growth we've all been waiting for." With emotions high, the sit-down ended on a surprising note of unity. Bambi extended a hand, and after a pause, Momma Dee took it. The gesture wasn't just symbolic, it was a signal to everyone watching that despite their long and messy history, both women were choosing to take a different path forward. Still, the road ahead was uncertain. Bambi made it clear that actions would speak louder than words. "This doesn't erase the past," she said firmly, "but it gives us a chance to write a better future. For me, for you, and most importantly, for the kids." Momma Dee nodded, her eyes glistening. "I'll take that chance. I'll prove it, even if it takes the rest of my life." And with that, the conversation ended, not with shouting, not with insults, but with a fragile truce that left fans both hopeful and skeptical. The aftermath was just as dramatic as the sit-down itself. Social media lit up with opinions, debates, and theories about what would happen next. Some viewers praised the women for their maturity, while others wondered whether Scrappy would retaliate once he saw himself being called out so directly. "If Scrappy doesn't respond, that silence is an answer in itself," one fan wrote. "He needs to take responsibility or risk losing the respect of everyone watching." Others speculated that this moment could redefine the dynamics of the show altogether. For so long, the narrative had revolved around Bambi and Momma Dee's feuds, but now, with both women seemingly on the same page, Scrappy could find himself isolated, forced to confront truths he had avoided for years. The sit-down became more than just a conversation. It became a cultural moment, a mirror reflecting the challenges of family, loyalty, and the struggle to break cycles of dysfunction. Fans connected deeply with the themes of betrayal, forgiveness, and accountability, seeing pieces of their own lives in the story. For Bambi, the conversation marked a turning point. No longer willing to carry the weight of false narratives, she had reclaimed her voice and demanded respect. For Momma Dee, it was an opportunity to step into a new role, not as the instigator of chaos, but as a matriarch committed to healing. And for Scrappy, it was a wake-up call, whether he chose to answer it or not. As the credits rolled on this chapter of their story, one thing was clear. The truth had finally come to light, and nothing would ever be the same again. Because when Bambi exposed the lies, when Momma Dee admitted her part, and when the silence around Scrappy became impossible to ignore, the family was left standing at a crossroads. The past couldn't be erased, but the future was theirs to choose. Fans were left with one burning question. Would Scrappy rise to the occasion and mend the wounds? Or would he continue the cycle that nearly destroyed his family? Only time would tell. And that's where things stand right now, with the truth finally out in the open and the entire family forced to face what's really been happening all these years. Bambi's revelations have shaken the foundation of everything fans thought they knew. Momma Dee's honesty has added a shocking new layer, and Scrappy's silence has left everyone wondering what he'll say next. Is this the beginning of real healing, or just another temporary truce before the drama explodes again? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The story isn't over, so now we want to hear from you. Do you think Bambi and Momma Dee can truly move forward after all of this? Or will old habits and hidden grudges pull them back into chaos? And what about Scrappy? Will he step up and own his role, or keep letting the women in his life take the blame? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we know you've got opinions on this one. If you enjoyed diving into this drama and want to stay updated on every shocking twist coming out of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a moment. Your support keeps us bringing you the hottest updates, the biggest revelations, and the juiciest storylines straight to your screen. So stick around, because if you thought this was wild, just wait and